My dad began teaching me piano when I was 8 years old. My first lesson was the Knuckles song, which had an easy rhythm with a simple, recognizable melody. This was useful for acclimatizing to the feel of the keys and learning fine motor skills. The form was 2 parts that could be repeated as often as you wanted. Then I progressed to a beginner's book full of simple nursery tunes like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and Mary Had a Little Lamb. Here I learned how to actually read music notation. These songs consisted of 10 notes centered around middle C because I hadn't yet figured out the large interval jumps. I learned harmonies and texture by adding my left hand or by playing 2-note chords. At the same time, there were duet parts for a teacher to play. The duet let me hear thicker texture with different pitches, rhythms, and timbre between the different registers. It also helped me to learn to play at an even tempo because I had to fit in with someone else. Soon after, I moved on to more difficult songs, which began to introduce layers and layer relationships because my left and right hands were independent. I began to learn the different musical terminology like allegro or fortissimo, and other symbols and articulation like crescendos and staccatos. I also started playing more dynamics and expression in songs like Fur Elise. I went for my grade 3 piano examination and was shocked at the amount of theory that was necessary. I spent 2 months learning patterns of scales for many different keys, both major and minor, as well as the best fingerings to improve my fluidity over octaves. I fine-tuned my oral skills and learned some chords. I had to play a fast song and an expressive song to show my musicality. The structure of these pieces was simple enough with a start, middle, and an ending which was similar to the beginning. But the rhythms were quite difficult with large intervals. I also had to learn to read independent lines of music, with contrasting rhythms in each hand. The next step was learning how to play with others through a piece called The Entertainer, but written for a piano trio. This forced me to become aware of the difficulty of playing with someone, let alone 2 others, let alone my sisters. We had to learn our individual parts, and then how to coordinate the whole song. The melodies passed around the parts, meaning we had to really emphasize the dynamics, so that the melody could always be heard. The texture of this piece is quite thick, although it sounds very harmonic when played well. We also had to research the origin because it was made as a ragtime piece, and none of us had ever played rag before. Depending on who gets ready first, we all play in the morning before school. Sometimes 2 of us are ready, and one has to use the keyboard on the other wall. This forces us to learn how to focus and block out any other sounds. Currently, I'm trying to learn a grade 6 piano piece called Sonata Pathétique. It was composed by Beethoven and has 3 movements. The form of this piece is complicated, with several contrasting changes between rhythms, time signatures, and pitches. In the first movement, there is a very expressive, slower part, with large chords and thick texture, and then suddenly a fast section with vital dynamic changes. These styles repeat several times, although they modulate to different keys, forcing me to learn how to transpose a pattern up a few tones. This was difficult for me because my fingers were used to the original key. Another difficult part of this song is incorporating the pedal. This means I have to multitask and use 3 appendages while reading the music. This, along with many embellishments in the right hand, forced me to practice each hand alone for many weeks before I could put them all together, and even then, I had to practice small sections at a time. The chords are present even though they aren't named because it is a classical piece. There are many different harmonies and melodies throughout each section of the piece. As well as learning basic motor skills and becoming musically literate, learning piano has also taught me time management, working out a practice schedule with my sisters, memorization skills. After 1 year, I can now play my whole piano piece off by heart, oral pitch skills, hearing 1 wrong note among a 9-note dissonant chord, patience while working with my sisters, and especially a great deal of perseverance on the difficult pieces, because it has taken me a long time to learn how to play piano.